I'll do some scary movie.
Like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Hello and welcome to a voodoo-filled episode of All Things Horror. I am your host Ben and I am joined here with my co-host Matt, and if you are new to the show, each week we choose a movie to break down and review. We give our honest opinions and rate it from 1 to 10. We have a brief spoiler-free chat about the movie before we head into the plot and discuss our favourite and least favourite parts of the film. If you stick around to the end, we finish off with some interesting trivia and a fun little horror game. And this week, we're going to be talking about Child's Play from 1988. And the synopsis, straight from the back of the box, goes as follows. The chills come thick and fast as voodoo and terror meet within an innocent-looking doll inhabited by the soul of a serial killer who isn't ready to die. Written and directed by Tom Holland. That's not Spider-Man.
No.
Main cast is Catherine Hicks, Chris Sarandon, Alex Vincent, and Brad Dourif. Running time of hour and 27 minutes, and it's available on Prime and Tubi. This was the winner of our poll pick for Killer Dolls, which means our listeners specifically voted for this one against Annabelle and Megan. But to be honest, there weren't really much competition. This one won by a long shot.
Child's Play.
Yeah. Yeah, another classic. Yeah, what do you reckon, Matt?
It's a franchise that I've not seen every single one of them. I've seen some I really enjoyed, and then I forgot the names of them, and then some I found really boring and forgot the names of those, so I probably need to watch them all in chronological order. The first one I saw years and years ago was pretty underwhelmed with it. This time I got a lot more out of it. I've forgotten how sort of grounded this one was. Like, there's a lot of sort of realism and grimy houses and stuff like that. It's like quite... I know it's about a possessed doll, but it felt more realistic than some of the other ones that I've seen.
Yeah.
And it was like a better film than I remembered. It was like a tighter film, good... like the relationship between the mom and the kid and all that. This, I think it was better than I remembered it for sure. And yeah, it's mad to think it's sort of spawned this franchise, which is really cool. It's just like, say, Halloween or something like that. It's just one guy's vision, and he's got all his friends together, made this film, and it's just gone and gone and gone, and now there's like TV series of it and all kinds of things. Yeah.
I mean, people seem to love Chucky. I guess in 1988 it was a bit of a game changer in horror. Would you say this is what started off the whole Killer Dolls? I can't think of an earlier film that was kind of a horror about dolls or whatever.
So this was what, came out in 88?
88, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's Dolls, came out in 86. The Stuart Gordon film, which I really like, but that's more like kind of almost like China dolls and that kind of stuff. I think it's kind of creepy when there's a doll and you break the china-y bit and inside is kind of like human matter, which you haven't really got with Chucky. Like, he's completely in the thing. It's not like he is the thing. It's like his soul has moved from one body to another, or one thing to another. So that's different. There's Asylum as well, the Amicus ones, where some of the toys come to life. There's been lots of films, I think, where toys come to life, but this is the one that I think focused very much on that American, almost pre-Black Friday, Christmas time, buying crazy, everybody going crazy, wanting the latest Cabbage Patch doll or whatever. So I think that this is definitely unique in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like over the years, like from when this came out and even to today, like it's just gained more and more kind of fame and like the reputation of what it has. Because I mean, there's kids, like literally kids, or like really old people. Like you say Chucky, yeah, they know Chucky. Everyone knows Chucky.
Yeah.
Regardless if they've seen the films or not, you know what Chucky is. It's weird because I'd say this is up there in like the top 10 for like maybe not the best horror, but definitely one of the most famous in terms of concept. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, and it's like a franchise that's very different from like big scary person stalks people.
Yeah.
So like for it to be a lead character that's a tiny doll, and it's not like it's a clown, and people are very scared of clowns, but people are quite scared of Chucky, aren't they? Like they find him quite scary. Then there's people who collect all the little memorabilia about him, and quite like I know somebody, and she's really into collecting Chucky stuff because of the color scheme and how bright it is and how interesting to look at it is. And some people have quite a protective, friendly kind of relationship with Chucky.
Yeah, and you see at the horror conventions, there's always someone going to be dressed up as Chucky.
True. Yeah, true.
I mean, I've seen this one loads of times, and I've got it on DVD, and honestly, I didn't even notice until I was having a proper good look at it that this is only rated at 15.
Yeah.
I mean, we spoke about ratings in our last episode on The Conjuring, where that was given an R rating, and even though that had no blood, no gore, profanity, violence, it was just the scare factor alone. I feel like it's a bit of the opposite for this one. This one, it's full of violence, it's quite bloody, quite some shocking stuff, but it's only a 15. I'm not sure what that ties up to in American ratings, but...
Yeah, I mean, there's some violence. There's a lot of off-screen or off-camera violence, which I suppose is sometimes you get when the first one of a film, and then when they get a bit more money, the next film on is often more violent because they can afford to show it. But like, for example, did we see, it was a couple of weeks ago I watched that, but did we see when the friend falls out of the window, do we see the actual squished at the bottom?
Well, I think the way that it was shot, like we see her falling down from the window, but I think it's like an upshot camera view, so you don't actually see her hit the car. You see it from like an undershot of the car, kind of the windows blowing out. Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, I guess it just means like we've said before with other lower budget, not that this is like a massively low budget, but just lower budget than the rest of the series, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
That you have to think around the sort of the problems a bit more, don't they?
Yeah, this was a 9 million budget. And it made 44 mil, so it's
I wish I had that low budget of 9 million to do something.
These are the only 3 films I've seen by Tom Holland is the ones that he actually wrote and directed, because it's this one, Thinner, and Fright Night.
Right.
He wrote and directed them, and they're the only ones I've actually seen by him. And I like them all. Can't really remember Fright Night that much, but yeah, if I'm not mistaken, our man Chris Sarandon, he played the lead vampire role in Fright Night. Yeah,
and I guess it does have a massive, fan base. Fright Night it still does really. So yeah, those are 2 pretty big, because there was a sequel, wasn't there? And then there was a remake. It's probably not stood the test of time in the same way as Child's Play has, but obviously Child's Play is more Don Mancini's Mancini, his brainchild, his creation. He's the one that protects it, and has everything to he's the creator of it. Whereas I feel like Fright Night's more Tom Holland, people link him more to Fright Night. He also did Psycho 2 as well, which is a really good film, like underrated. Because you couldn't do a film as good as the first Psycho, but Psycho 2 is really interesting and really well made film, very underrated. But yeah, he did the screenplay, didn't he, for Child's Play? So, he has Tom Holland. You make a good point there. He did it with somebody else, and Don Mancini, but yeah, maybe he deserves a bit more credit.
Yeah, I think so. Something quite interesting I found. Apparently, Child's Play 3 was actually banned in the UK between 93 and 2002.
Yeah.
Because there was 2 separate murder cases in the UK. I don't know if you remember them, but Suzanne Capper and James Bulger.
I remember the James Bulger one because being in the Northwest, it was it was in the national news because obviously it was the 2 young men that perpetrated it were massive fans of Child's Play. Right. So the newspapers really did jump all over that.
Okay.
So that was one of the reasons, and I think as well it was like, again, newspapers like ban this sick film. I think when these things happen, and it was such a horrific thing to such a small child, and it was so sad, and with the perpetrators being other children, it's unique and unusual, and you're trying to make some sense out of it and solve the problem. And ultimately you can't solve the problem, but also cynically newspapers want to sell more newspapers, so they like a campaign, and you can't really campaign about the murderers in the well, you can, but it's sketchy ground, isn't it, and what you can and can't say and do. But they can definitely say, oh, this film is evil, and when you watch the film, it doesn't strike you as being a particularly film that would influence you. I mean, if you were that way inclined and you thought that your toys were talking to you, then you would have some sort of mental illness that would need support. In which case, no matter what you watch, you could be watching the Muppets or whatever and have the same response. Obviously, it just so happens that in Child's Play, it's telling him, or it's doing bad things, but everybody thinks it's him being told to do them. But actually, he isn't, is he? He's not doing those things. That's the whole point of it. Yeah, it's not like demonic monster makes child do bad things. It's actually the exact opposite. So,
especially Child's Play 3, because he's not a kid anymore in that one. I don't know if you remember the third one. He's actually like a teenager. I think he is 16.
Yeah, and like Alex Vincent, who plays him, he does a really good job. A friend of mine interviewed him recently, and I'm not like I say, not a massive Child's Play fan. And I thought, I'll watch it to support my friend, and it was really good. He did a really good job interviewing him. But I got the impression that there's an underlying love-hate between playing that role, because he's a musician now. Right. He's into sound design. I think he takes what he does quite seriously. He has a studio. I think talking about, even though he's in the new Chucky stuff, I get the impression that like part of him is just like he hates Chucky, and then the other part of him, he loves Chucky. So he came across as a bit prickly, I thought. It's
not uncommon for child actors to kind of grow up and hate the roles that they played when they was a kid.
True. Yeah. And I don't think I think in a way it's more complicated for him because he's been a part of it, then he's not been a part of it, and he's been back, and then he's left. And it's like, he can't just be like, oh, they threw me away when I was a child. They've literally continually come back to him, either not for every film, but for some of the films and then the series and stuff. So he's probably going back and forth on whether he hates it or not, depending on whether they're paying him, I guess.
Yeah, all right, cool. Well, that's kind of all I've really got for pre-spoilers. What about you? Did you want to...
No, I mean, Brad Dourif's really good as Charles Lee Ray, as well as being good as Chucky in this. Yeah, I don't know if in any of the later ones, do you find out more about Charles Lee Ray, or is it mainly just straight into Chucky?
Not that I remember. I don't think so. I think he
That's a
cameoed in one of them, one of the later ones.
Right.
But I don't think he was actually Charles Lee Ray. I think he just had a little cameo as someone else. I don't know.
Yeah, because they went quite meta, didn't they, and all that kind of stuff with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a bit confused because, like I say, I've watched some of them, but completely out of order.
All right, cool. I'll go ahead and hit that spoiler warning and let's jump into the plot.
Spoiler warning.
Right, so Detective Mike Norris chases serial killer Charles Lee Ray into a toy store. He is shot by Norris, and as he's dying, he performs a voodoo chant, and that transfers his soul into a good guy's doll. The store is struck by lightning and explodes, and Norris finds Charles Lee Ray's lifeless body next to a doll. Yeah, but this is what we was just talking about. I really like this kind of like action scene that you get straight off the bat. It is very actiony. Now I'm thinking about it, it's very kind of 80s action, and I really like that it's actually Brad Dourif playing Charles Lee Ray.
Yeah, it was interesting that I liked the opening. I thought it was it's pretty cool. Yeah,
the whole lightning and everything with the clouds going over and just completely blowing up that toy store. I thought that was brilliant.
Well, what's the? It reminded me a bit. Not exactly the same because it's kind of more modern. But when they start the film Thanksgiving in the shop, I'm always a fan of starting things in shops and things like that. There's a film Intruder that's in a supermarket. I quite like any film really where you're in a enclosed environment with lots of stuff to look at to start with, and obviously if you're in a supermarket, a shop, or a toy store, there's loads going on around you, isn't there?
But all I can really think about in this scene is, like, obviously I'm no voodoo expert, but transferring your soul into a doll seems like a oddly specific thing to know. and the fact he's got that memorized off by heart, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's like a million things to know and rituals to remember, but transferring your soul into a toy doll, it seems oddly like specific.
Just something that everybody does at one point in their life.
Oh, better know that just in case.
Yeah, it's just part of growing up. It's just part of just part of life.
Oh yeah. Karen Barkley. She's got a 6-year-old boy called Andy, and he really wants a good guy's doll for his birthday, but she can't afford one. So she does what any good mum would do, and she wanders down a dark alleyway at night and buys a second-hand one off a homeless guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess it's like the equivalent, and the British equivalent will be buying it off a bloke in a pub.
Yeah. Andy don't
Start
care,
the back
though.
of a van in the car park.
Andy don't care. He says his name's Chucky, and that's enough for Andy to fall in love with him.
Yeah.
We then see Karen's best friend Maggie babysitting Andy, and then she gets attacked by Chucky, causing her to fall out a window to her death. And then Detective Norris considers Andy as a suspect, but Andy claims that it was Chucky and his real name is Charles Lee Ray.
Come on, Andy, don't be such an idiot. We know it's not lying. We know you're a murderer. Look at you.
Yeah.
It's a hard-bitten criminal that you are.
Your shoe prints match. That's enough for us to know.
Yeah, the guy's like almost like he's interrogating him, and the mum's right there.
Yeah.
And he's just like, anyway, quiet while I get your kid to confess to this murder. And he's like, what are you upset about? Why are you so angry at me?
I don't know if it mentions, maybe it does and I might have missed it, but do we know how long it's actually been since that scene and when Charles Lee Ray got shot? Because we see the news reports on the TV, but it seems a little too soon to like be the next day or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. It could be anywhere between a day and 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah,
Don't
maybe
think it doesn't come up and say a year or anything on the
no,
screen.
no. There's no credits or anything. But yeah, unless it. Maybe I'll go back and pay a bit more attention to the news report, because it was definitely on the TV. You know, Charles Lee Ray shot in Toy Store or something.
Or something about his associate is on the TV, and he's like,
"Oh, is that right?"
Because Chucky wants to stay up, doesn't he, and watch it?
Yeah.
Which is quite a funny scene, I think. That's quite a funny scene. Every kid who watched that's probably thinking, "Yep, I like that's the ultimate act of rebellion. Is your mum tells you to go to bed and not watch TV, and you go back and you switch it on." I bet they were like, kids were like, so naughty.
Yeah, I feel like this kind of follows like old traditional horror setups in a sense where you don't typically see the killer until much later on. I'm thinking like Friday the 13th, Jaws, Aliens. But here, like, you do see him throughout, but you don't actually get to see him in action until later on. It's weird. Yeah. It's like you see him straight away from the get-go, but, you know, to actually see Chucky as Chucky from what we know, it's a lot later in the film. Or at least halfway
that's
through.
True. I guess as well, I don't know, because I was going to say, are they being like subtle and careful about how much it's hard to do the stuff where Chucky's doing things and make it not look silly.
Yeah.
But there has to be an element of like, it's a doll, so we just have to accept that. It's not like it's RoboCop walking into the building or whatever, you know. But even then, with RoboCop, to stop people laughing, they had him walk past a range of different people, get their reactions first, backgrounds, glass, doorways. Whereas Chucky, when he's doing stuff, you're almost seeing it from his perspective all the time. So it is kind of silly.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to lean into the silliness, I guess.
Yeah.
Just accept it.
So the next day, Andy skips school and takes the subway to a sketchy neighborhood. Chucky sneaks into the home of his former partner and kills him for abandoning him. Then Andy is again considered a suspect and admitted to a psychiatric hospital. But back at home, Karen discovers that Chucky has been moving and speaking on his own without any batteries.
That's a good move. That is a good plot point, I think.
Yeah.
I think that works really well. She's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not like dead obvious. Like, you don't think of that yourself beforehand. So I think that's pretty good. Isn't it funny? Like, she couldn't be called Karen now, because if she was called Karen, they'd be like, "Oh, I want to talk to the manager and all that." I have a cousin called Karen, and I imagine it's a pain in the ass for her. Never asked her.
Her hair's too long. She needs a bob.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chucky comes alive and attacks her before he escapes, and she goes to Norris, but he don't believe her. So she finds the homeless guy, but is almost assaulted, and then Norris comes to her rescue and discovers that he stole a doll from the toy store where Norris killed Ray. There's another thing I read online, actually. The bit where she drops Chucky on the floor after she sees he ain't got no batteries, and she drops him and he rolls under the sofa. It's got like a little flap under the sofa in it. Apparently, I didn't pay much attention, but that flap was already up, and then it was like pulled under with a string. But then obviously she gets down on her hands and knees and she pulls up that flap. So it's a bit of a little goof up there. But I mean, I didn't really notice it. So.
Yeah, things like that don't worry too much.
They had to do it somehow. Yeah, but yeah, the whole like 6-year-old skipping school and riding a subway themselves to a dodgy neighbourhood, that's probably the most shocking and concerning thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, you see these stories occasionally, don't you, of a kid who just, like, let themselves out of their nursery or let themselves out of the school and just wandered off. Obviously, the staff are in, absolute pieces, and must feel terrible. But, like, if a kid wants to get away, some kids are just that innovative and clever. Innovative? I have that sort of ingenuity, I guess, to get out and then not be found or caught. And then there's some people who literally could walk past anything and would just ignore it. They wouldn't be like, who do you belong to? Particularly these days, I think men, we wouldn't want to be like, oh, excuse me, little boy. Like, in a strange way, if you were with your wife, you might do it. You might be like, oh, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a strange thing. I guess if I was wearing my school badge or I had like some sort, it's a tricky one. You'd like to think you'd do something in those situations, but no, he just wanders across big cities as well. Nobody gives a shit in a big city, do they? So there's maybe that too. And just him wandering across that building site, I did give me Pet Sematary feelings.
Do you remember how you felt the first time you see Chucky speak, when Karen's holding him up and she's threatening to throw him in the fire, and she's like, "Oh, chuck you in there," and then all of a sudden he's alive and he's like shouting at her. He goes, "Oh, you fucking bitch," or something.
you silly cow.
It's like you're waiting for that one moment throughout the whole film, and then he finally does it. You're like, "Oh, there he is." Yeah,
it's quite shocking, and she's trying to think of the best way to deal with him, isn't she? Like, work on the fly. I mean, it's easier than taking on Jason, because you can just like throw Chucky up in the air, or like just doesn't he sink his teeth into her neck or something?
Yeah, I think he bites her arm or something.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. I don't even think of something else, but yeah, I just got the impression he was just like hum nom nom. That's quite scary, because like sort of a plasticky doll bite sounds horrible. If you've ever caught yourself on a toy, or when you were a kid, or trapped yourself in a transformer or something, bloody kill stood on a Lego.
Yeah.
Anyway. I had a pop gun when I was a kid. This is I was old then. Where you had to pull it back, and then obviously then it clicks, and then you press the trigger, and then it shoots back, and the gun fires out. And I was pulling it back. It was really stiff and hard to pull, so I pulled it back and I let go of it, and it trapped my belly fat in between. I imagine that's what it feels like to get bit by Chucky. Honestly, I don't think I've ever cried so much in my entire life, because it was trapped on my side of my body. And my mum had to come and pull the thing up, but I was just screaming and running around. Oh my word.
Wow.
So yeah, Chucky bites. Would she have to have a tetanus shot? Probably not.
Well, you don't know where he's been, so.
Yeah, that's true. It might be dirty.
Where are we? All right, yeah, so Norris is still skeptical, but sure enough, he is attacked by Chucky. He shoots Chucky where we see him bleed, and he's in pain. Chucky finds his former voodoo instructor, who tells him that the longer his soul remains in the doll, the more human the doll will become. And in order to escape the doll's body, he must transfer his soul to the first human he revealed his true identity to, which in this case is Andy.
This is all oddly specific.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's a question. Like, they say the longer he stays in the doll, he gets more human. So does that mean the doll will just keep getting more human until it is a human? 100% human? Because if that's the case, why does it need Andy? Or is it just human on the inside?
That's a very good question. And maybe you should have, if you had your own voodoo instructor, you'd know the answer, wouldn't you?
Just wait it out, and then you'll slowly become human.
I love the fact that you described him as a voodoo instructor. like you have a karate instructor and a judo instructor, and whatever, swimming instructor, and then you're like, are you a voodoo instructor? I saw your advert in the local newspaper. I'm really interested in becoming a voodoo priest.
Well, that's what Wikipedia said, so...
No, I mean, that's probably what it is, and probably what he's described of it. It's just a strange thing, isn't it, to be a voodoo instructor?
I'm sure there is. Voodoo instructors out there.
Are they not called voodoo priests or voodoo shamans or something. I don't know, shaman, kitchen roll.
That also is what confused me about the sequels, because 2 and 3, he's still after Andy, and by that point, Andy's 16 years old. Like, so he says that he needs to get Andy's body quick. Surely it's too late by then. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And then the other ones, like Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky, all the other Chuckies after that, they seem to have dropped that rule because he could just go after anyone.
Yeah.
So,
there's a lot of questions, and I don't know the answer to. I mean, once we start getting into all Chucky's relatives and wives and children, I'm certainly not an expert. I'm not an expert even on the original one, because that's the most. Would you say the first one's the most simple to follow?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know.
But it's one of those where you just. I don't think people are watching it with loads of questions, are they? They're probably just watching it because it's like. Would you say it's just a fun film? Like that's its main thing, or is it a genuinely? Is it a genuinely scary horror film? Is the question, I suppose.
I don't know. I don't know. Is it? Would you say this film is more silly or scary? Fun or scary?
I don't remember there being any moments in it where I was like, oh, I don't want to be in the house on my own. But if I was a little kid, the idea of my toy coming alive would be quite scary, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's easy for a lot of,
when you watched it.
It's easy for a lot of people to say, Chucky ain't scary, just pick him up and chuck him out the window. Right? But I guess if you're actually in that situation... where there's this little, I don't know what, 3-foot ginger toy running at you with a big kitchen knife. I mean,
I'm so glad you said kitchen knife. There's a pause then. I was like, what is he going to say? But yeah, it's. I suppose when you look at it and you think, well, you could just throw him and chuck him around, or but the thing is, he's possessed by this evil character. He is he's a very different. He's not just a toy. Do you know what I mean? There's more to it than that. There's all the voodoo stuff, and when you start putting voodoo into films, then you've got a lot of stuff you can do without having to explain it.
Yeah.
So he can do lots of different things, and then in each sequel he can have completely different powers, and we can just go because voodoo.
Yeah, voodoo. That's why.
That's why. Yeah. Stop asking questions about our film and just But like, to answer your question, I don't know if it is particularly has any scary moments, but I'm willing to believe that. That people are scared of him in the same way as but I don't know. Are people more scared of clowns? I'd imagine, like Pennywise. You can understand that more.
Yeah, I'd say between Chucky and Pennywise, people would be more afraid of Pennywise. But equally, I reckon there are a lot of people that are petrified of Chucky. Who knows? Okay, right. Let's get to the final scene where Chucky goes to the psychiatric hospital and kills Andy's doctor with an electric shock device. Andy escapes and goes home, but Chucky follows and knocks him out and tries to take his body. And then Karen and Norris arrive. Norris, man, it's such a weird name. Karen and Norris arrive just in time and eventually set him on fire. But a char-grilled Chucky comes back, and Karen shoots him many, many times, blowing his limbs off bit by bit. And then Norris's partner arrives, and Chucky's body bursts through a vent to strangle him. Norris shoots Chucky's body, finally killing him. Or did he? Find out in Child's Play 2.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Should we head straight into our ratings?
Yeah, because I think you're going to be surprised.
Okay, so...
Or not.
1 to 10 char-grilled Chuckies.
Char-grilled Chuckies. Yummy.
I'm gonna give this. I do like it, and I probably shouldn't be picking at it too much, like we say, voodoo. But yeah, I'm gonna give this 7 out of 10. It's a film that I respect quite a lot. I tend not to visit it very often. I always seem to think that the premise is quite plain, but I'm always pleasantly surprised when I'm watching it because I kind of forget how much would have gone into making it. The original trilogy, I think, is great, but they probably should have left it at that because everything after was more silly and funny rather than the kind of horror aspect of what the original trilogy kind of set it up to be. I've got no issues with the casting. Little Alex Vincent was brilliant. It's hard to get a good actor.
He's good
child
isn't he?
actor.
Yeah.
And Brad Dourif, he will forever be the voice of Chucky. So yeah, no, it's a solid film. I like it. So yeah, 7 out of 10 from me.
Well, you are going to be surprised because I'm going to give it exactly the same.
Oh.
Yeah, I was going to originally, I had it nailed on in my head that it was going to be a 6. But when I watched it, I was pleasantly surprised how it actually worked as an actual movie. I thought the acting was better than I remembered it. The story was better. It was some of the set pieces were more fun than I remember, particularly fighting with the mum. I thought that was a good scene. The house explosion. I think it tails off a little bit towards the end in a way for me. I'm interested maybe in more Charles Lee Ray. That would be a cool spin-off film if it was all about Chucky. There was no Chucky in it and the film was just about Charles Lee Ray. Would people watch that? I don't know. Chucky Origins. Call it Chucky Origins and then not have Chucky in it would be really really upset a lot of people, I think. I think I've seen the one where they go to Hollywood and you've got the meta stuff, and actually that was quite fun. And then I saw the other one, which I think was Cult of Chucky, where he's like in an asylum and it's quite grey, and I found that fatally ridiculous. Maybe I need to watch them all in order. I've heard that the second and third are pretty good. So yes, it's got a good solid 7. Surprised me. It was much better than I remembered it. Awesome. And I'd only ever seen it once before, to be fair.
All right, cool. Okie dokie, let's head into some trivia.
Trivia. Oh, yeah.
Right, I've got a few bits of trivia here. So, Chucky's full name being Charles Lee Ray is actually derived from names of notorious killers. So, Charles from Charles Manson, Lee from Lee Harvey Oswald, and Ray from James Earl Ray. All combined together to make Charles Lee Ray.
I remember. I thought Earl Ray. It kind of had that. Yeah. That reminder of that.
Oh, you might like this one. Because you said you liked the scene where she discovered where Chucky had no batteries. So the original working title for the film was Batteries Not Included. But then they realised Steven Spielberg was also making a film with that same name.
Yeah, I've not seen that for a long while. That's one I would like to watch again. I loved that when I was a kid.
It was also changed to Blood Buddy, but they changed that again and then settled on Child's Play. Child's Play.
It works. They could have called it Chucky, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, everyone calls it Chucky. No one says, "Oh, do you want to watch Child's Play?" Everyone says, "Oh, do you want to watch Chucky?" Yeah. So, "Oh, what's your favourite Chucky?"
Yeah, it's funny because you don't go, "Do you want to watch the new Jason film?" Or do you? No, got it Friday the 13th, Halloween, Michael Myers. We don't call it, "Do you want to go and watch Michael Myers?"
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like, go to Austin Powers. But, yeah, it is a strange one. It is a strange one why people say. I think he's just one of those characters. A lot of people really, really just attach themselves to him. And it's kind of like a bit transgressive because it's like making a kid's toy bad. It's kind of naughty, I guess. So there's like the element of reminding you what it's like to be a naughty kid, because Chucky is essentially a naughty kid. I know he's not, but he is. So there's a bit of that. Maybe that's why people like, oh, do you want to go and watch the new Chucky? Like it's naughty, like they're being naughty.
Chucky loses his right hand in each installment of the original trilogy. And according to an interview with Brad Dourif, who voices Chucky in all the films, his daughter Fiona was 7 years old at the time, and she came into his recording room during a session, and he was recording the scream of agony during the scene where Chucky gets set on fire in the fireplace. No one, not even him, knew that his daughter was in the room with him until she got scared and started screaming and crying.
Oh. So she's in some of the later ones. She has quite a big part, doesn't she?
Oh, does she really?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe in the TV series. And often when he does conventions, she goes with him and they do pictures together.
Yeah, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And
family business.
That is that for some trivia. So I've been looking forward to this, right? Let's go into this week's game.
I want to play a game.
Okay, right. So we're going to play What's That Quote, round 2. Right?
Okay. Oh man, I don't think I did well last time.
We did this last week, and I think you got about 5 out of 10. 4 or 5 out of 10.
Also, Billy want to play a game. He's a bit of a creepy doll.
He is.
Anyway. trying to distract you from the quiz.
Anyway, here's your chance for a bit of redemption, and I think you're going to do well on this one because I've made it a lot easier. Instead of me saying the quotes, I've actually got the quotes here.
Ooh.
And I'm going to play them for you.
Oh, that'll help.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I haven't got to do the impressions. Okay, so number 1.
What are they doing? Why did they come here?
Some kind of instinct, memory, what they used to do. This is an important place in their lives.
That is Dawn of the Dead.
Yay! That is.
Yeah, boy.
Number 2.
Death has come to your little town, Sheriff. You can either ignore it or you can help me to stop it.
It's Halloween. I almost said near dark for some reason. I don't know why.
All right, what about this one?
Hey, Albert, yes, Alan? Why are the copies of the style section all over the place? Do you have a dog? A little chow or something?
No, Helen.
Is that a raincoat?
Yes, it is.
What? It's not Idle Hands. No, don't know. Alan, did he say Alan?
Alan, yeah. That was American Psycho.
Oh, that doesn't even sound like that. He sounded like a stoner in that.
That's Jared Leto right before he kills him.
Oh, okay, right. That's why. Yeah, because if I'd have heard Patrick Bateman, I'd have probably got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, number 4.
It's not the house that's haunted. It's your son.
The house that haunted, it's your son. Oh, it's one we've seen. Oh shit, I get all their names mixed up. So it's not Malignant.
No.
It's not. Is it Insidious? I almost said what's the other one? I always get mixed up. Sinister, or I don't know. I get them all mixed up. Conjuring. I probably said that as well. But yeah, I got it right.
Cool. Right, number, what are we on? 5?
Listen to them. Children of the night.
What music they make.
So that's the Todd Browning Dracula.
Dracula.
See music they make.
All right, number 6.
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
Game over, man.
Game over. Man.
Is this the last one? Because if it is, then that was perfect. Game over.
Game over, man. It's game over.
So, aliens. Smashing this one.
You are. All right, next one.
I'm not going to hurt you. You didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to bash your brains in. I'm going to bash them right the fuck in.
Bash your brains in. It's Jack Nicholson. It's The Shining. The Shining.
Number 8.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
It's the new Conservative Party political broadcast. It's Rishi Sunak. No, it's Silence of the Lambs. Quiet Sheep.
Right, number 9.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Oh. There's like in the background as well. The Thing. It was the background noise that got me. That got that because I was thinking, where is it cold?
Okay, very last one, number 10.
A naked American man stole my balloon.
American Werewolf in London.
Yay.
What a classic line that is.
Yeah, that is so good.
A naked American man stole my balloon.
All right, you got 9 out of 10.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.
That might be the best I've ever done in any quiz ever.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's all downhill from here. I'd like to thank my agent, my friends.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap up. So, next episode, we're going to go back 24 years to the millennium of 2000, and we're going to check out Final Destination.
Ooh, the original.
The original, 2000.
I can't remember the last time I saw that. I remember watching it at the cinema. I remember going, "Oh look, it's Jack from Dawson's Creek." So it was a while ago.
And it's got Stifler.
Oh yeah, Stifler's in it too. The Stiffmeister.
Yeah, and also by the time this comes out, we'll have the next poll pick up and ready for people to vote on. And that poll pick is going to be for video game horrors. So it's going to be
Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah. It's going to have Silent Hill from 2006.
I've never seen it.
Doom from 2005.
Seen it.
And Resident Evil from 2002.
Seen it. Oh wow! But I can't remember any of those two films. The Rock's in Doom.
He is, yeah.
And Resident Evil, Mila Jovovich, isn't it?
That's the one.
Okay, I've seen it, but I can't remember anything about it. So I'm happy with any of those. Mm-hmm. What was the first one again?
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill, I don't even know what that's about. I imagine it's about some sort of hill that's silent.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Can't wait.
All right. Yeah, cool. And that is it, unless you got anything else you want to wrap up on?
No. That was good. I enjoyed watching Child's Play. Maybe we could do some of the other Child's Plays in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe in sequel September we could do Child's Play 2.
Yeah. Or Child's Play 9.
All right then. Shall I go ahead and see us out?
Yeah.
Bye
everyone.
If you've liked today's episode and want to hear more, then go ahead and give us a follow on wherever you're listening from. You can also like us on Facebook, as that's where we do our themed poll picks, and you get to vote for what we do next. Feel free to leave us a comment or send us a message, or you could email us at allthingshorror666@gmail.com. That's all for today, so thanks a lot for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.